Alright, we are going live, and immediately I noticed a problem. So I was just standing on this belt, and it happens to look as if our power supply has vanished. So let's go fix that. Looks like I managed to catch it in time. Okay, so I guess what's happened is that they've dug up all of the ore that's close to the surface, and now the remaining ore is too far down. So let's get to excavating out some more space down here so that we can replace these miners. Actually, we have explosives, right? That failed completely. How about you go there instead? Much better. And our previous failed attempt just left a nice, convenient stairway out. Alright, that works. So let's just make a platform like that. And get rid of these useless drone miners and just replace them down here. So, where are they? There they are. I need a little bit more space. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. And then we have the belt going out. And then those get outputs. Now we need to connect this foundation to the existing one. So let's just do that real quick. Alright, that ought to do it. Yep, it did. And now we just have to get this belt out. So get rid of some of that stuff. And now we just slope this up. Alright, continues to slope up. And a little bit more. And there's now a convenient rock in the way. So now we just have to take this back over to meet up with that stuff. And we're like kind of worryingly close to running out of ramps. Would be a bit of a shame. Alright, I can hover. I forgot that. Makes this a lot easier. Alright. And then this comes back down. And please, why do you want to place it over there? Just place it there. Alright. Power has been reestablished. We'll just make that Mark II belt so that they go faster. And hopefully our existing power can last long enough. Oh, it looks like it's just about to run out. Yeah, it's a bit close for comfort, but I think we're gonna make it. And if not, then it'll just restart as soon as this gets here. In the meantime, let's go restock on ramps. That's over here somewhere. those. And now we get back over here just to look and confirm that the power grid is going to be turning back on. So these machines are receiving power, not that it's a big deal. And these machines are going to be making steel, so that's convenient, but not necessary. But then more importantly, we have these machines over this way, because this is the belt that takes us to the steam generators, which should be fine now. Yeah. Alright, so this has made it all the way back to the steam generators, which means that they'll turn back on. Alright, we almost had a catastrophe, but we were able to prevent it at the last moment. So with that sorted, we need to be doing researches. Let's take... So we don't have Tier 4 science yet. We want to gain access to it, but we don't have it yet. So let's just do spaceship fuel production, I guess. Company rank increased, that's cool. Alright, now let's get back. So what we were doing last time was setting up energy cell production, and actually this guy is done with that. Let's just have him do that.
We've done it. We've figured out how to make those energy cells. Now we should find some ways to use them.
Alright, cool. Just absolutely nothing of significance there. So, next up, we need to remember how to make... Yeah, so Mark IV Science Packs requires energy cells. And energy cells require a bunch of stuff I already have and alumic acid, which requires alumic gas. Did I make that already? I think I may have done something along those lines near the end of last stream. Let's head over and see. Over we go. It really is a bit of a trek, and jetpack maybe a little bit faster. It's hard to tell. Alright. So we do have aluminite gas production. So, then we don't need science open, we need this. So we need water and ignium powder. And then we're going to need all this other stuff as well. So I think the best thing to do is just going to be to pipe this all the way back to the main base and deal with it over there. Although, actually, hang on. Let's think. Water and ignium powder. Ignium powder is made from ore rubble. And then... So what we could do is we could transport this over to the power generator, because that has water and ignium. There's no real water in the vicinity other than that. So we take this over there, and then take the resulting acid back to the main base. Because otherwise we would need to take this to the main base, and the water to the main base, and the ignium to the main base, which I think this would be easier. Although, boy, moving the pipes all the way over is not going to be trivial, is it? So we kind of just need to like bulldoze through everything, because like placing corners and stuff is extraordinarily annoying. So this just goes all the way over this way, and we're absolutely not going to have enough pipes for this. We're going to at least get a start, and then run back, grab some more pipes, and then finish it off. Alright, so let's chop that tree down. And finish that off. Alright, this is approximately the correct location, at least on that axis. So let's curve and start going this way. And now we run out of pipes, so let's run back and grab them. Alright, finished our research. Let's unlock the hover engine. Why not? Alright, back to the main base. And I'm pretty sure this energy cell production is going to wind up being somewhat pitiful, but gotta get started somewhere, right? Alright, let's have you tell me what to do next.
To be able to build larger structures, we need to set up a construction industry made of construction and transport ships. This will allow us to construct enormous buildings beyond our current capabilities.
Alright, good to know. Now where are the pipes? There they are. It's probably going to be enough. 500, like I used not quite 200 to get it to where it is now, and that's like halfway, so 500 should be more than enough. Now we just fly on over. And almost there. Let's move down to be at approximately the right height for this. And off we go. Didn't place it far enough. Alright. For some reason, I feel like there was definitely sound effects when you placed a pipe, right? I'm not going crazy, right? Oh, there it was. I guess it just lost it once. Alright. Now we're over in this general vicinity. I want to make a platform for this. Drag mode horizontal, please. And let's see, what building do we need for this? I was in the right section and I left it. We need a crusher and a chemical processor. So crusher, build just a couple of those. Chemical processor, I need polymer boards. Let's go over there and do that then. Alright, polymer boards. There you are. I don't need a huge amount, so I'll just grab some of them off this belt here. And chemical processor. Right, Now we go back and make our acid. Alright, why is this pipe, like, blinking red? What is going on? I'm just not going to worry about that. Alright, so. Crusher. Crusher will go there. And this belt will split. And just take some of this over. I gotta make sure it lines up properly, like that. Then this gets an input, and it makes ignium powder. And then it gets an output. We're at output the ignium powder. Hover engine has been complete. Nice. Let's do advanced explosives, because why not? So that's 60 ignium powder a minute. Hopefully that's enough. Now we have our chemical processor, which needs even more space. Let's give it even more space then. So we need that to be like there. And make aluminum acid. This belt runs along. And an input. This needs 120 powder a minute to run at full capacity. We're not going to worry about running at full capacity for now. We just want to have some, and then we can worry about expanding things later. For now, we just need to bring these pipes along. Alright, there we go. And next we need water, which should be easy enough. We just need one of these. So let's put that in. So that's up. That's above. Okay, so let's get that pipe in, and then we put this in so that it's exiting into the pipe. Jeez, that water. Alright, then this just goes up. It's gonna have to sneak in under the acid pipe. And into that input. Alright, so then this needs to turn again. And turn again. And then go in. Please rotate in. Alright. That should be that. Yes. We have everything, and it is now producing. Alright. Aluminum acid, check. So now we have that. We just need to bring that back to the main hub, where we will bring it and make energy cells or whatever. Why is this flashing? Stop flashing. Come complexity exceeded. Open input. Alright. I don't know what that means. Complexity 334 out of 300. But throughput is limited because pipe segment is too large. Break it apart into smaller segments by using pumps. Okay. I will do that then. How is this gonna work? I guess we move back to like this area, like halfway through, right? So that it's breaking it into smaller segments, like it said. And take some of those out. And put in the pump. Alright, so we can set it to high voltage grid or low voltage. I'm going to set it to high voltage. And it really doesn't want to line up properly. So let's put some stuff there and see if I can use that to line it up. No. Alright, so what if I just put that in there? That should work. No, but see, I actually want it to connect to the pipes like that. Thank you. Alright, now we just need to find some power poles and probably craft a couple more of them. Let's craft large power poles because they are larger and thus more useful. How do we go about doing this? We have power pole large here. Pop that in. And it's too far from the shorter one. So move it nice and close. And I assume that that's going to be way too far. Yeah. So I need to basically create like a platform midway through the river for it to stop on. I'm not entirely sure where that has to be. Just go there. And then there, it barely works. And then this just keeps on going. And then you need to get closer into the pump. So you can use a smaller power pole for that. And get rid of that random block I placed in. And power it up. Alright, now is this working? Yes, complexity is now lower. Still don't understand what exactly that means or why I have to do that, but sure, we've done it. Alright, so we have that. And we just need to pump it all the way back over to the main bus. So let's try to figure out how to rotate this thing at all. There we go. That's what I wanted. So this goes up a ways so that it just clears over the top of most of the other things. And then over. Go over here. And we figure out how to rotate this. The amount of time spent staring at rotating pipes is enormous. Alright, so now we just have to bring this over to approximately the location of the main bus. Probably won't have to get it all the way over there, but just most of the way. And then we can bring the belts the rest of the journey without really a problem. But we do need to get within a good distance before we move like 3 belts of things. Alright, I hit the wrong button again. There we go. Now we go up this way. And straight through that tree. Which I'm going to take down, because it needs trees. Alright, now this just keeps going. I'm probably going to need to do that whole pumping thing again. Alright, now we're in the general vicinity. So what do we need exactly? Xenoferrite plates, electronic components, and glass. So fortunately, 2 of those 3 are relatively early, and I think glass is also back here-ish. Let's see, where is the glass? Yeah, look, this is the glass here. So if we just take this glass and send some of it over there, then that should be the easiest way of going about that. So where do we want to put that split? Probably just up here. Let's take some of that stuff out. Put in a splitter. But please have the splitter be aligned to the other side. Yeah, it's very, very frustrating how that works. Alright, give me a platform to work with so I can place this thing properly. Like that. And then we get rid of that. Alright. Now we take this splitter, send it back that way, and over here. No, not going directly backwards into itself. That would be foolish. So you come over here. And the rest of the way. Straight through this cloud of smoke. And we finished the research for explosives. Let's research batteries. That's interesting. The smoke is affected by the thing. Interesting attention to detail there. Satisfactory doesn't do that. Smoke clouds just go straight through everything. Alright, let's grab more conveyor belts. And head back over here. Alright, so we have a general vicinity here, but we don't have an actual location set up. So let's take out that tree. and make a nice sizable platform here. So this should be more than enough space, I think. Although let's make it just a little bit deeper, just to be sure. And we need a fluid assembler. Which one of these is that? That one, and it needs polymer boards. Of course it does. Polymer boards, where are you? Are you somewhere in this vicinity? There's just a belt of those. Back over here. Alright, give me a whole bunch of these. And now I can craft a fluid assembler. Alright, now where were we? We were back... not here. We were back over here, right? This space over here, yes. Alright, so now we can pop down our fluid assembler. And just put it with a good amount of space on any side. Alright, and tell it to make energy cells. Now I assume this is the port back here. So this is where the pipes go in. Please, rotation. There we go, so we go a little bit up. And we take that one out. And send that over this way. Then it comes like that. And in. Alright, how is this? Alright, it's just barely below the complexity limit. So that's good. We have our supply of volumic acid. So next, what we need is 3 solid inputs, which we have space for. Barely. Alright. Glass. Where did I get the glass to? Up here. Alright, so you have to come over here. But go down a lot. Alright, that should be enough for us to then bring it down the rest of the way manually. Down you go, down you go. Why did that go back there? Why would I ever want to put that back there? Alright, so now this wraps around like that, and in. Alright, glass, check. Then the next bits are electronic components and xenoferrite plates. So the plates, conveniently, just randomly running by here. Don't know what for, but something probably. Why does it always want to do it that way? Why won't it ever do it the normal way? So I just have to sort of stack up from the ground like that. And then this comes over here. And we have to be a little bit careful to get it in. So like that has to run like that, and then in there, and then up, and now this can stop going on the floor behind it, please, thank you, and like that. Then it just goes across and in. Alright, then finally we need electronic components, which are gonna go along the back, I guess. Alright, electronic components. Where is the most convenient location for you? You are back here. Alright, I think we can squeeze them off of this. If we take those two out, and put in a splitter there. And then this comes around. And then slopes up a bunch. Need this to go even higher. That's probably high enough. In fact, it's higher than the glass, which was high enough. Alright, now this comes along here. I think we want to start sloping down early. So we have a bit of a ways to go. Stop placing it randomly in the background. I don't want it to be there. Alright. Don't want to go too overboard with the sloping down early. How's the factory? It's pretty good. We are making the thing that we need for the next tier of research. And then once we have that, we will finally have like an actual logistics thing, I think. Like there's something in the tier 4 research that unlocks like transport ships or something that you can use to move things back. You ever figure out the lava thing? I did. You just have to like basically buy the Thermalite. So you have these ships that go up, and you can tell one of the ships to bring the Thermalite down. So that's what I'm doing. All right. So that's all that. Yeah, it is kind of weird, but also not horribly difficult. Alright, energy cell production is complete. So now we just have to put it onto a belt. And figure out how to make science with this. So you need to go down to the lava floor to smelt the Thermalite from bars into sheets, and the sheets are used for various things, like Science Pack 4. Yeah, it was sort of weird. It took a while to figure out, but we did figure it out. So now here we are. And speaking of which, I now actually have to go and deal with that because I smelted the sheets, but I never brought them back up. And I need to bring them back up. So, let's build another... Does one cargo elevator only work for one thing? Yeah, probably. So we have to build another cargo elevator next to the first one. So let's flatten this out a little bit. Right. Space flattened. Now we just need to craft... Where is it? Freight elevator. Have to make 2 of those, a top and a bottom. Right, and then this is the top. So that goes there. And I think we need to power it on. Do we need to power it on? Apparently not. Oh well. Down to the lava cave. Alright, so now we go down to the lava cave. We set up the other side of the freight elevator. And these are blast resistant, right? Freight elevator is blast resistant. Regular elevator is also blast resistant. Which means we have, since we last did this, we have unlocked a much more convenient way of clearing the space. Alright, we finished another random research. Let's put in another random research. Well, that was satisfying. We did end up breaking everything, but that's fine. Because we have cleared the space successfully. Now we just need to get rid of this junk and rebuild our power poles and everything. Yes. C4, the best way of mining. Alright, now, where was that power pole that we blew up? If we just put it in there, is that going to work out conveniently? Where was the connection for this? Okay, I don't remember where the connection was, but I think just put it like there, and then across, and then, alright, that's functional again. Alright, so we've repaired almost everything. We need to attach this back up as well. Which, oh, I see. This has to be one level down in order to see out through the walls. So that goes in there. Hooks up to that. And that. And how is that path blocked? It's clearly not. Alright, what on earth is the problem? Does that need to be, like, even another layer down? This was working, like, 5 minutes ago. Like, in these exact locations, it was fine. Alright, now it's fine again for some reason. No idea what is going on there, but we fixed it. And now we just need to make this into a similar thing. Oh gosh, I hope I brought enough building material for this. I think I did. Alright, where is the other side of the freight elevator? Freight elevator bottom. And we just put it there. And we need to connect up a transformer, I believe. Alright, transformer just goes in there. And it's all powered on. And I hope that this is working. Alright, now we need to belt stuff into this, because this is the output. That goes in there. And the intake is working, so now we just need to get a belt of thermalite sheets out and connecting into that, and then we'll be good to go. We also need to hope that this is doing its whole mining thing. go back here. This is the belt of sheets. So this goes back over there. And are these still working? Yes, but they're filled. Makes sense. Alright. We just have to bring this along this way. Gotta be a little bit precise with our placement here. We have to get through this little corridor. We also need this corridor to still be tall enough for us to fit through. And if we throw C4 still, then it'll just break all of those belts and it'll be a pain. I'm just gonna make this one level taller. Alright. And then this needs to start turning down earlier in order to make the turn. That. And then that goes down. And then across. That we can easily get through as well. Now this just needs to be the last bit sloped down. What on earth? Alright, dragging backwards is weird. Alright, that's that. And it is filling up, but can't send them anywhere because there's nothing up top. And I really would hope that it is actually working. So I don't know how to tell if it's digging or not. Maybe it's probably digging from the top. It's probably digging from the top down. So I'll just go up here and see if I can see something going on like that. Alright, up we go. Yeah, it's definitely digging. Okay, that's good. So then we can dig a little bit out here. Because we need foundation for the unloaders to be on. So then we have the belt and output. So once that finishes digging, then we can get our thermalite sheets here. And we're just going to have them go over that way-ish. And real quick, remember where we're going. So the energy cells are here. And I should actually put these in a box so that we keep making them. Alright, which way do I want it to face? Whichever way. So that gets an input and an immediate output. And we don't need more than like 3 stacks of these probably. Alright, and then this science pack 4 is energy cells, thermalite sheets, and circuit boards. So let's head over here. And right, I never powered this on. So let's tear all that out. So we can bring that up. And then just over to here. We are one singular building block short of connecting it up. Of course we are. Let's go grab some more. Let's see, which one of these is the blocks? The rods. That's electronic components. Here we go. Alright. There we go. Pick those up. And back we go. So now that connects there, and this whole thing should be powered. Or not. Ah, I think we have to connect it there. Yes, alright. That's powered. So eventually this will finish digging, and Firmolite sheets will come out through there probably. Then, the third thing we need is circuit boards. And circuit boards are up here near the end of what was once a bus. A dimensional depot would definitely be handy. However, I'm pretty sure it just doesn't exist in this game. So, unfortunately, not an option. Alright, so let's bring the circuit boards over there. I don't know where exactly we're going, but generally speaking, this direction-ish. In fact, that's it back there, yep. So this comes the rest of the way. And down it goes. Before looping around onto the foundation. And coming down the rest of the way. Now, I have no idea how much scaling this is going to need to be, but I'm mostly intending to just use this to gain access to the transport shuttles, and then like basically rebuilding everything so that with proper logistics in mind. So I'm not really concerned about the long-term implications of what I'm doing here. Alright, so then this has to come around this way. Up here. Alright, so now we have that. We need to clear out some space here, so let's get rid of some rocks. And now I just need an assembler. Oh, I already had plenty of assemblers actually, I didn't need to make a new one. So you go back there, and you go along there, and you go along there, and you come out and around the side, I guess. So doing this the scuffed way. Intake, short intake, short intake. You make Mark IV Science. Right, it's filling up. Ah, right, this breaks that, okay. Right, so then we just have to just swap which one of these intakes is there and which one is there. Alright, and we're starting to produce yellow science. So now we just need to belt this yellow science all the way back to the science machines, which are over there somewhere. And we can start research on, what was it? Cargo shuttles. I'm going to just select that. And there we go. There's a yellow science right there. How much research does this need? 200 of each. Okay, we're gonna need more than one assembler, probably. Which does mean making this less nonsensical. For now, let's get the science over there in the first place. So this comes along here and up. And up one more. And it should be high enough up to go over most everything except for these random light poles. Which it can just go around like that. Now we are here. We need to start ramping this down to there. And I believe we unlocked third lane loaders at some point. And we're not going to be able to use all of those. Yes, loader third lanes. So let's get some of those crafted. And then start putting them in. I guess if these are going to flow all the way down there, we want to hook up the last couple. Alright. Loading achieved. So now we are starting yellow science, probably. It is going to be very, very slow. But we are at 1% on cargo shuttle research. Alright, now let's see about how we can fix this to make it much, much larger. So first of all, we need this to go away. So that can't be there, otherwise it gets in the way of everything. So instead we want a nice long row of these. And we somehow seem to have found every single bit of tree and rock in the entire map. Alright, so let's tear all of these apart. And expand that out. And expand that out. So with the third lane loaders, this can just go along like that. And this works. As long as it actually does go all the way down, of course. The first one isn't going to work just because of the spacing of everything. Although actually I can make it work by placing these with second lane loaders. So if I take all of this out, and I just put it there, then this... Wait, hang on. I need more space, so I need this to go there. And then this to go out to there, where it wraps into that. And then this box can do intake and output like so. And now that's useful because now we can take that, put it over there, take this, move it like that, and then it goes in like there. And okay, this needs to turn back even earlier. Like that, which then causes this to be able to twist around like that. And then third lane loaders, we need more xenoferrite plates. Let's grab a bunch of those. So this is the box for that. Alright, craft up a bunch. Alright, so we have a bunch of those crafted up. And let's set them to 9. Alright, so then that goes in to all of those 3. That goes into all of those 3. And that goes in. Now these are all set to make yellow science. We're just going to make as much yellow science as we can until something else breaks, and then we'll expand that until something else breaks, etc. So we just need to expand this platform out a lot. But we also need to hook them up to the output. That's pretty important. Boom. More loaders. Alright. Now we have 3 of these running. Let's just expand this out to a ridiculous extent. Get rid of this random shrub that's in the way. And expand the belts out. And run out of belts. And it seems like it was just like 15 minutes ago that I grabbed hundreds of those things, and yet we have run out again. Alright, so back we go. Gotta be around here somewhere. Yeah, this is them. Alright, hundreds of those again. Now we run back and continue expanding. Drag that out like there. And then we attach all of these up. Don't fly into a tree. Like that. And one more lane. And configure them all to make Science Pack 4. Alright, now we just have to hook them up from this side. And I think at this point we're going to have to like start running into output limitations, right? Like there's no way that all of the resources can fit on a belt at this point. Time to do some math. So the inputs are all 6 a minute. The output is 1.5 a minute. So actually belt limitations are... because this is like 300, right? 320. So belt limitations are basically never going to happen on this. However, production limitations are. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. 7 times 6 is 42. How much of these a minute am I making? 12. Yep, that tracks. So this is just gonna deplete my small supplies of energy cells. And let's see, how can I fit in another one of these? That'll help out somewhat. But I haven't really built it in a way to add more than one more. So we're going to do that. In you go. And you get one thing, you get the other thing. Leave me an intake, thank you. The fluid assembler makes energy cells. This around a little bit so that it has access to those. Alright, there you go, get an input. And output can sneak in there. And we just need to move this in. Stop building things off randomly in the background. Alright, so we need to send that back a little bit so that we have space to get all lined up properly. Like that. Alright, so now those are all hooked up. Just need pipes. We make U a T intersection. And now we spend an incredibly long time just rotate. Wait, I think I had it. Please. Alright, we got it. We got it eventually. Just gotta rotate these things until they work. Alright, now we are up to 14 energy cells a minute. Probably at the cost of, like, olumic acid or something. But at least it'll help somewhat. And aside from that, there's really not much that we can do to speed this up. Like, there's really nowhere else to easily just fit in more of this production line. I guess if we were to completely move it. We're also not going horribly slowly. Alright. Yeah, I'm probably fine with that rate. So how fast is it? So that's 12 a minute. That's 12 a minute. So we have 24 energy cells a minute. And each of these use 6. So we can use 4 of these, which is 6 science packs a minute. And the research needs 200 science packs. So 200 divided by 6. Let's see, 180 divided by 6 would be 30. So this will be done in like half an hour to 45 minutes. That's not that bad at all. Alright. So, in the meantime, while that runs, I guess we should make sure the science is capable of being used. It should be. There shouldn't be any... Like this... These loaders should be more than enough. But I think I will just expand it out the rest of the way, just so that in the future, if I end up using this as my science location, then I will have access to it still. Alright, so let's just put all these loaders in. Not that they'll ever be used, because the first couple are by far using all the science packs. Alright, so that's that. What next? Yes, what science stuff have we unlocked in the meantime? And also, what is this going to need? They're going to need steel beams and machinery parts. Okay, well, we have all of those things in production. So they're very expensive, but we can do them. Now, what else can we do with energy cells? Science assistant drones. That's just a thing to sell. Not interesting. We have science packs. Ooh, we have solar panels. Solar panels and batteries. Those are fun. And they require energy cells. So I guess probably like setting these up would reduce the rate of science production. Because our energy cells are a limiting factor already. So what else? What else is there that comes off of energy cells? There's batteries, which I assume also require energy cells. Alright, then back to chemical processing. What can we do with chemical processing that isn't energy cells? Advanced explosives, spaceship fuel production. We could do that, probably. Oh, it requires like 20 different things. Okay. Okay, let's just not worry about that. Let's just spend until the cargo shuttles unlocks just running around making sure nothing catastrophic is happening. Like, this is running low. That's probably bad. We fixed the ignite or whatever it's called earlier, and it seems to still be working just fine. Although I would like to make the entire thing mark 2 belts, but it seems like that's just not necessary anyways. And we should have plenty to go there. Okay, so in addition to the energy cells being the limiting factor, there might be something that's limiting our production of energy cells. So these are probably all fine. Glass might be a problem. Alumic acid might be a problem. If glass is a problem, we have enough stockpiles of it that it will take ages for that problem to show up in practice. Let's just run over and check. We should be getting at least 24 of this. Yeah, we're fine on glass. Yeah. We have like double the production we need, I think. So alumic acid is the other one. We need 120 of it per machine, which means we need 240 total for now. Alright, so let's head over and investigate that. This is that setup over here. So in theory, it's 300 a minute, which would be enough. But in practice, we're not having enough ignium powder, which we can fix quite easily. Just find a crusher. In you go. Get some of that. And you get powdered. And output. Alright, now with 2 of these machines, we should be making enough ignium powder to run this continually, which should provide enough alumic acid. Assuming the alumic gas is enough. And the water is probably enough. But are we getting 562.5 olemite gas? Actually, we can probably check, right? 300, 400. Alright, it's hard to tell because that's counting like the past, but until just recently it was at half production, so it's hard to tell based on that. So let's travel down this way and see. Alright, so olemite over here. And how much does this produce? Alright, more than 1,000. So, plenty. Cool. Alright, everything seems good to me. So, pretty sure our calculations of roughly how long it should take should be approximately accurate. We're already halfway through, which is a very good sign. So there's apparently a thing in the database that I haven't read yet, which is filter loader. Yeah, okay, so that would be useful if we're doing sushi belts. I have no intention of using sushi belts. Although maybe, but no, probably not. Gosh, how do you even use sushi belts in a game like this? It seems extremely complicated and difficult. Alright, science is sciencing. I guess I should go up here and automate the production of the long-handled inserters. Maybe? Or maybe there's something else, like... I'll just make a solar panel and place it and see what happens. We get an information database. That's fun. Alright, solar panel placed. And it's high voltage grid. Right. So you come over here. And hooked up. Alright. We have started producing solar power. A minuscule amount. But there we go. Alright, so I can't really automate either of those. I could automate large power poles. That's probably something that I should do. Really what I need to automate is getting all this junk out of my inventory. Like, there's just so much random nonsense. Like, buy dirt, and stone, and 2 ignium ore rubble. And I've been carrying these greenhouses around for ages, and I just haven't ever gotten around to using them. Maybe that'll be something for the future. Alright, so power pole Mark IIs could be automated. I could automate fluid assemblers, maybe. It's very difficult to justify, like, adding automation onto a base that I'm going to be abandoning. So yeah. Let's just read the information about solar panels. Large solar panel produces a maximum output all day. A smaller solar panel is dependent on the sun angle and ramps up and down close to sunrise and sunset. Alright, compass displays the times you can viably generate energy with solar panels, and they need a high voltage connection and can be chained together. Alright, so yeah, that seems straightforward. Just make a lot of energy cells, make a lot of solar power, and power production is no longer a concern. As long as you have all the stuff necessary to get that set up. How long is this going to take? Probably a fair bit longer. I could probably, like, do other researches in the meantime, and I have enough science machines that, like, this would just backlog and then be used relatively quickly. So I could do that. Let's unlock... Gosh, are any of these relevant? Let's unlock Transformer Large. That should be fun. And so now we're not going to be using the yellow science, but it'll still be accumulating, and we have more science machines than we have yellow science to use, so that'll be fine. Also, we can mess around with the galactic commerce thing. Where is that? It's right here, actually. R&D lab. Transport bots. More production efficiency. Huzzah. Great success. Alright, station upgrades. How much money do we have? We have like 10,000 monies. So what do we even want to buy? More licenses? So if I buy Technum license, and is there a... Olimite license requires Olimite barreling. Alright, but if I get the Technum Rubble license, then I'll be able to import all of the ores I use except for Olimite, which would mean that theoretically I wouldn't have to do any mining, except for Olimite, which I could do later. So that would be handy. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but it would probably be fun to figure out. Alright. What do you want? Complete research construction industry. Is that another Mark IV research? Probably. No? Where is it? I don't see that research, but whatever. It probably exists somewhere. Alright. So soon we're going to get Transformer Large unlocked, which probably isn't even that helpful. Like, I can't imagine why I would need... Like, if I need large transformers, I could just place multiple small ones instead, and that would be fine. But we'll research it so that we have it. And maybe it'll be mildly more convenient in the future. Now let's look to see at how much the yellow science is backlogged. And the answer is not at all. It's all gone into machines. It hasn't even gotten very far through into the machines. Alright, we did that. Now back to... Where is it? Cargo shuttles. Continue that research. It'll go relatively quick at first because we are using yellow science. Alright, there we go. Making progress. You can like barely see these little bars ticking down before it'll need another one. And this first one is probably going to run continually. I imagine the later ones will run out. We do have a good number of them running at this point though. All except the last couple. And I'm sure that will decrease once the backlog is removed, but for now we can move relatively quickly through the research. And then we're going to have to experiment with the cargo shuttles, figure out how they work, and how to use them. How big is the map? Is that like the edge of the map, or does it just keep going? I think it probably just keeps going. Alright, that could be fun. Let's go exploring while we wait. I don't know how much there's going to be out there for us to find, but let's pick up another stack or two of jetpack fuel and fly off into the distance. Nothing else, there'll be cool biomes and stuff to look at. Also, the jetpack in this game is hilariously overpowered. Like, it uses so little fuel, and it is so efficient. Alright, which one of these is the jetpack fuel? This is the jetpack fuel. Alright, let's grab another stack or two of that. And which direction do we want to go? East is the closest direction where we'll encounter unexplored terrain, so I guess let's do that. So off we go. And let's get some height so we can look around. I wonder where the little blue arrow is, if that's just like space that I've been. Alright. Heading off. All sorts of stuff. Mostly like just porous rock. We can pop the scanner and see if we find anything fun. So much porous rock. It's everywhere. There's mineral rock, there's unknown resource. It looks like there's a bit of a snowy biome over here. And looks like we're gonna run into a giant river. And very rocky terrain over here as well. So we have this giant river, and if we go past it, then we encounter basically giant mountains with lots of porous rock. There's some technum in there. Right, seems like we might end up having to go a bit of a ways to find more resources. Doesn't seem like they're especially concentrated or anything. So I'm just gonna keep on moving, see if I don't know, like run into the edge of the map or something. If it's tremendously close, that would be a shame. Man, the ability to just like fly completely unopposed is very convenient. What's that? Olymite Reservoir. Fun. Some weird rock formations there. And ooh, that scan just revealed 20 billion things on the scanner. Knowing my luck, it's all just porous rock. Lots of lava cave shafts. There's lots of xenoferrite and ignium up there. Let's go on a bit further before we turn back. I do want to be back at the base for the cargo shuttle unlock to happen. Yeah, the terrain around here is wild. Alright, more pine tree type stuff. More funny rock formations over there. More olymite, xenoferrite, and all that stuff. Alright, let's start making our way back. So that we aren't stuck out here forever. And how fast can we go on the jetpack? Is it faster than running along the ground? It's definitely more convenient being able to just ignore terrain. I don't think it's faster, though. Yep, mineral rock, etc. Not even that many different types of things for me to find. And I don't think this game has anything like Mercer spheres or hard drives to like go out and actively collect. So we're just going to be happy with doing that. We have successfully found a decent chunk of resources, at least. And yeah, jetpack fuel basically lasts forever. Like, if you're worried about running out, don't worry about running out. It's basically impossible. Alright, 500 meters away. These giant cliffs between me and home. Is that like the moon down there? I feel like that's not supposed to be the skybox. I feel like there's supposed to be a planet there. Unless this planet is way smaller and more spherical than I thought. Alright, we've unlocked the Technum Rebel license. So that's nice. I don't know if we'll end up using that. We probably... I'll at least try it. It seems more convenient, at least, to just import everything. So now that I'm looking at it from above, this is very crater-like, this area that we're in. Very round sides to the cliffs. Alright, and we drop. Alright, now we are here, and we have just a short amount of time until cargo shuttles completes. And once it does complete, I think we're going to turn off most of the yellow science production. We're still going to keep some, but I want a backlog of energy cells, because those are used for other things. So I'm going to turn off most of the yellow science production, go back to finishing off green science, and then, yeah. And then, like, the yellow science will still pile up while we're doing the green science, so even though we won't be producing as much, it'll still be fine. Alright, cargo shuttle is up to 98%. Alright, 98%, 99%. So it's, what, just like 1 or 2 more science packs? And then we'll have unlocked cargo shuttles. And then we can figure out what they do. So there's a science pack there. Alright, we've done it.
Cargo shuttles? Your blueprint library is soaring beyond expectations. This is precisely the breakthrough technology we need to ship vast quantities of goods to faraway locations on the planet. I'm impressed. Our capacity for innovation is really taking flight.
Cool. Capacity for innovation really taking flight. Thank you. Alright, so now we go back to random green science. So you go there. And this is the yellow science production. So how much of this? We have theoretically 24 energy cells. And these use theoretically 6 each. So let's leave half of them. So let's shut down all but the first 2. So that way we will be producing 24 energy cells using 12. And then we'll be netting both energy cells and science packs. Alright, so now that we have the cargo shuttle stuff, we need to actually use it. So, how do we do that? Cargo shuttle bay. Start pad and target pad are 2 different things. That's the first thing I'm noticing. So we need glass and a lot of other stuff. So let's get 2 target pads and pick up a bunch of steel beams and make 2 start pads, just for the purpose of experimentation. Alright, and we need glass and circuit boards as well. That's going to be way up here. And give me just a stack of circuit boards. And I really just need a random box somewhere to put all this random junk. It needs to be memorable-ish so that I know where it is. Alright, let's put it here. And logistics container. I don't even have the space in my inventory to place a logistics container. Wonderful. Alright, get rid of some forest seeds. And pop them down. Alright, so you can store 3 stacks of biomass. Most of the fuel, this orbital uplink, I don't even know what it does. And see, this is the problem, is like all of this stuff is technically useful. Oh, I don't need tier 1 conveyors. Like, I technically need all of this stuff in theory. Alright, we finished the research. Let's put in another one. Alright, but at least we've cleared out a good amount of space. Now we just need to pick up the glass to make our cargo shuttles. So wherever that is. Glass production is here. Alright, so now we have that. And we can make 2 of those. And was there some other... See, what I'm worried about is there's going to be some like secondary research we need to do to get our cargo shuttles like fully functional. Transport drone assembly and cargo shuttles for liquids. Alright, transport drones. I guess we need to do this, probably. Shipping pad support. Space. So yeah, this definitely does something. Don't know what, but it does something. So we're gonna set it going. It only needs 50 yellow science, so hopefully it won't take too long. And the other thing that unlocks is cargo shuttles liquids. So I don't know what good those will be, but I don't know what the transport drones even do, but we're researching them and it should be hopefully relatively quick. Alright, let's head over to a nice empty-ish space. And I don't know how large this is going to be, but probably fairly large. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, that's fairly large, was a good assessment. Alright, these are not for small little local transportation, that's for sure. Goodness gracious. Okay, let's find an even more open area. I guess I can look at these. 31 by 14 by 31. And the start pads are the same size. Alright, let's grab a bunch more building blocks and just try to see what exactly it takes to build something out of these. Alright, building blocks, building blocks, building blocks. Is that going to be you? Yes. Give me your whole stock. Alright, now we're going to go up and build this over the lake. Just because it's nice and flat, plenty of space, no other particular reason. Alright. So basically just as large of a square as it'll let me build. And then we put that in. Alright. How does this work? We're gonna have to make another station on the other side of the lake to figure that out, which means even more building materials. Building materials. Where are you, and how do I get thousands upon thousands of you without effort? So somewhere in here, I think it's this one. Oh no. That's very bad. Okay, so we're short of technum rods. We're getting some, but they're all going to what? What is this? Blue science production? Yeah, that makes sense. But we really are not getting enough technum rods. Is it possible to handle more? Is this 1-to-1? Yes. So we're not outputting a full belt of technum rods by any means. Which means we should be able to expand this out. Dig away some of this dirt real quick. Alright. That should be at least some space. And smelters. Do I have any smelters? No. And I can fit, what? If I expand it out a little bit more, I can fit 3 of them in. Alright, so those go in. That goes in. All get inputs, and they all get outputs as well. Output, output, output. Hopefully that'll begin to be enough rods for this. I'm using a lot of electronic components as well. Good grief, this is sort of a nightmare. And the thing is, building materials are also used for red science, which should never be produced at this point. Like, surely not. At this point, it's just gotta be coasting, right? Like, there are literally hundreds of spare red science blocks. How is it still producing and using red science? Like, what if I just set that up to like that? Okay, but now that's just filling up. Yeah, we definitely just want that to be like, frankly, just nothing, if at all possible. Just don't produce more red science if you don't need to. And yeah, our building materials situations are now in a bit of a crisis. Oh, we can take some of these technorods and throw them in there. I'll keep a stack for myself, just because I do need them. But hopefully that will help somewhat. Like, there's so many things that need technorods, and we're sort of using all of them at the moment. I did not think building materials was going to be the bottleneck preventing me from figuring out what cargo ships do. Alright, all of this stuff. This is like almost done, right? It's up to like 60-ish. Whatever it's doing, it's almost finished with it, hopefully. Yeah, and the building blocks are only ever used for red science, which shouldn't be doing anything at all. Alright, transport drone assembly is at 99%. And there we go. Alright, transport drone assembly finished. So now we can keep on cranking away at the green science stuff, which will also use some of the red science, but who cares really? Yeah, I have no idea how these limiters even work. Like, I can dump spare stuff from my inventory into the crossed out sections, but I don't know if it uses that stuff. Also, is this just like... Yeah, when everything is running, one belt of technorods is just not enough. Like, it's hardly even ever getting through to these, much less past them. It does look like it is producing them again. That's nice. Why is... Did I just see that move? Yeah, why are you still producing red science? It should all be backed up, right? That's 100, that's 100. 100, 100. 46,000. Alright, it's not all backed up. That's the problem. Unfortunate. But we'll keep on sending through researches, because we need to do them at some point. And the amount of science we're using on these researches is realistically not enough to cause much of a dent in this whole crisis that we have going on right now. And look at that, we even have some building material backed up again. That's good to see. It'd be better if this would, like, continually... Alright, what if I made you faster? Just like as a baseline. Now we're producing 360 building blocks a minute, in theory. In practice, we're probably producing like maybe 10% of that, just because of the inputs. But now at least, like, we will be producing. I'm gonna set that to be a full container because we need so much. Alright, decor 3 unlocked. Next up, escalators 2. Is this still emptying, or is this stuff just being drained to fill it? The last one was at like 46, right? Yeah, no, the machines are being drained to fill it, despite the fact that I have hundreds of red science in this. So I think that's what we have to do, is we have to just open all this up so that this is what gets used instead of the other stuff. Instead of new production. It shouldn't really matter, but I guess I will do it just to make sure. Yeah, the yellow science is starting to back up now. Very, very slowly, of course. But if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these, and each of them is storing 3, that means we have 36 yellow science, like, in the bank ready to go, plus some. Which does mean that when we next do yellow science stuff, we will have a good amount of backlog. Our supply of Technum rods seems to have stopped being sufficient again. Probably because of these machines aren't running. They have to fill up their internal buffers with science as well. Do that. Alright, I'm trying to figure out if there's like any more convenient way of increasing this. But I think the answer is just more smelters. So this is 20 each. So we can manage 16 smelters in a line. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 there. Alright, well, we're gonna have to keep digging this out because Technum rods are pretty much like a prerequisite for basically everything. So, how do we get this to fit in? We need to take these foundations out, and hopefully there isn't some random obscure thing off in the distance that's relying on connecting to those foundations in order to work, but probably not. We're gonna have to reroute the transport bots as well. Alright, so that goes out. And then this sort of like 3 or 4 wide space needs to be clear. Send it out as far as we can go. So we need to make this space up and this one up, and the belts themselves can just run on the dirt the loaders have to be on foundation. So let's get rid of that belt, because it's sort of in the way. Run that in there. Give us some more smelters. Just a couple of those. And fit in as many of them as we can, which is apparently 3. Alright, now that runs along. And all of these get inputs. And let's just craft a couple, go back for a full restock later. Apparently we have to do all sorts of intermediate crafting to get this done. Output, output, output. Alright, that is physically as far as we can expand this without breaking things. We've already sort of broken things. So now we have to get these transport bots up and over, which they can just barely make. And then back down. No, not up there. Down like that. And one more. And in. Alright, so we fixed everything that we broke. And we have even more technum ore smelting to go along now. And this is technum ore rubble. We never did set up the more efficient version with the crushers. But hopefully this will be enough. I am planning on moving over to buying ore from the market, at least temporarily, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. Alright, this is looking good now. So it's getting through to the building blocks side of things, and this is still all backlogged. So we're producing as many building blocks as we realistically can. And this is also full now. Or I don't know if it was full previously, but it definitely is now. As is this. So these are producing only as needed now, which is good. There's also a little goat dude. Hello. How's it going? Shrublands critter. I've petted a shrublands critter. Yeah, now this is backlogging a little bit, up to 40s. And we're gonna have to wait a while before we mess with stuff, because like it's all kind of fragile right now, right? But it does look like this is backing up a little bit now, which is huge. This backing up means that I can put another one in. So what is in the way there? It's the thing going above it. It doesn't quite clear. Alright, so let's then move that back so that it can slope up earlier. And clear all that stuff out. And up you go. Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough space. Cool. Now we just have to make that connection so that it's functional again. And put that in. Put that in. Probably won't break anything too important. And you get an output. You're making building blocks. And then we also give it access to these. So you get an input and an input. Alright, building block production is now much quicker. Which shouldn't matter in average times, but these are not average times. Alright, so you can be an extra speed belt. You can be an extra speed belt. This splitter can be an extra speed splitter as well. Just so everything is going well. And I'll just make that extra speed while I'm here looking at it. Alright, so that should be a lot of that being produced relatively quickly. Now, let's just grab some and see about making the other half of our cargo shuttle set up. But we haven't had an active research probably for ages. So let's put another one in. And I'm sure that won't cause any problems with the building block supply. Alright, so we have that one, which is, I believe, the destination. So now, let's build a long, thin one out here, just so that it carries low voltage power with it. In case that's important. Which it probably shouldn't be, but it might be. Alright, so now that we're way over here, we build, again, just as big of a thing as I can make it. Which is a lot smaller now. Alright, so we have... We needed to put a start pad in. And I'll just put it in there. And I believe it has to be entirely on the foundation, which it isn't. Missing building foundation. Yep. Sure enough. So let's head back and hope that the missing building foundation has appeared. Alright. All the way over here. Please say that just sending any research doesn't deplete my supply of technomods. That would be very unfortunate. Alright, over there. And back to this. We have another couple hundred, which, as hilarious as it is, very likely not to be enough. But we will try. So we head back. And okay, yeah, looks like the start one comes with a shuttle. The end one obviously doesn't. And now we head over here, and we need to fill out the foundation for this to sit on. Which, I really love it if I could fly, but like in the water. Alright, so that goes in this comes along probably out to like there. Then that comes along probably, I don't know how far out it has to go. Alright, looks like we got enough. So that's convenient. Alright. Set destination. You have to set it by name. Okay, hang on. Do I have to go over here and label this test or something? Let's head over here. Alright. Set name to test receiver. Is that how you spell receiver? Probably not. Probably EI. Alright, now we head over here. And we set destination. Test receiver. Gosh, you really just have to spell it right. Alright, we found it. Takeoff conditions. Inventory fill percentage and or time passed. Okay. That's fun. So now we just need to put some junk in. So we just do something like that. And we're going to need even more foundations for this. But we put that in. Then we give you an intake. And what if we give you multiple separate intakes? Alright, so let's go grab more foundations to finish this off. What I want to know is if we give it, say, 2 different things to travel with, then will it like sort them in the output in some predictable way, or will it just sort of splatter them out in whatever order we want and we need to sort it? That is very important to know in order to get this set up properly. Also, it looks like we have officially used up our entire supply of ore rubble. These last couple just aren't getting any. Which, yeah, this entire factory is like on the brink of collapse. So let's try to at least figure out how cargo shuttles work so that we can build our new factory that will be better than this one. Alright, so off we go. And hang on, I also needed... Okay, yeah, I can craft logistics containers. Wait, what? No, not 40 of them. Please give me like 2 of them. Thank you. Alright, so I have some logistics containers, which means I can simulate like belts full of stuff. Alright, so just give me some space here. And logistics container 1 and 2. And belt 1 and 2. So that goes in. That goes... Alright. Noted, that space is not real. Have to just compensate for that, I guess. So move our containers back a little bit. Where did they go? There they are. Alright. So we just have to get rid of all of that stuff. And run these 2 belts here. Now we get rid of that. And get rid of that. Alright, then that goes in. We've finished our research. Let's do another one. Alright, so now we have an intake for that one, a long intake for that one. Wait, these have to be outputs. Because these are simulating sources of whatever resource we would be transporting. Alright, so now we say I would like you to move some, like, 2 stacks of xenoferrite plates, and then the other one can move 2 stacks of conveyor slopes. And we're just going to wait for that to go in. And I assume each of these slots is 1 stack's worth of items. Yeah, alright. So as it currently stands, this would take off when its inventory was full. And I'm just going to wait for there to be something in the second stack of plates. Alright, so that is that. So we have a good number of resources in here. Now let's set this fill condition to 30% and apply, which it's already reached, so off it goes. And it's going up. And over. And I should have set up the receiving station to receive properly, but that's fine. Just do that whenever. So you get 2 belts, and you get an output belt, and you get a long output belt, and both of them are moving xenoferrite plates. So that's just going to be the first stack of whatever it got. Alright, so let's get another couple of these. Actually, we already have a couple. So let's put those in. And send you around. And then into there. And into there. Alright, so currently it is just picking up the first thing it wants. Yeah, so now that it's done with the plates, the first stack of plates anyway, it's now moving those. And when this is unloaded, yeah, so when it's unloaded, that's going to go back to the source station. Alright, so then the other question would be, let's just pick these up so that we can use the same resources for another test. Filter loaders. Let's just make 2 of those. Are they only filter loader for Mark 1s? Alright, so let's then take these out. And output. And output. So we can set the filter so that this one... How do you... There's so many items. So that one will only do conveyor slopes, and this one will only do... Where's xenoferrite plates and all this mess? Alright, so we have that. But now we just need these to be separate. So like that. Alright, so we have that, which is not ideal, but will it work? So now we dump all this stuff back in the source. Alright, so then you get 2 stacks of xenoferrite plates. You get 2 stacks of conveyor slopes. And now we see what happens. So this should take off approximately now-ish. Well, it'll have to wait for these to fill up. It's at 20%, 22%. Okay, so smaller stack sizes fill it more quickly, which is very strange. Yeah, and the exact instant it hits that next stack, it just leaves instantly. Which I don't know if I like that, but it's probably fine. So it's across and it's coming down. And yeah, look at that. Alright, so that's what we can use filter loaders for. Now, theoretically, I would want to not get stuck in the water where the jetpack doesn't turn on. One of these could either transport like 20... So it could either transport 1 stack each of up to 10 different things, or it could transport 10 stacks of one thing. Now, if it were 1 stack each of 10 different things, that might cause like a lot of serious issues with how to explain it, with things backing up. So for example, say we have way more conveyor slopes going in than we have xenoferrite plates. Eventually, this thing's inventory would just fill up with conveyor slopes and not at all with plates. But, alright, let's just start research real quick. Speaking of research, we have the tutorial for this, which I probably should have read. Configure the takeoff conditions. There are only 2. And yeah, okay. Buffering items. Yep, alright. So where was that? Data cable system. So what we could do is we can make sure, using the data cables, that the ship being launched has specific ratios of items, right? Custom counters to track how many of certain items have been created. Shut down machines once a container is filled to a certain limit. So, what we could do is we could say, like, we have our loaders, right? So we could say the loader that puts conveyor slopes in will shut down once there is a stack of conveyor slopes. And the loader that puts xenoferrite plates in will shut down once there is a stack of xenoferrite plates. And then what that would do is it would ensure that this always leaves with exactly one stack of conveyor loaders and one stack of plates. Also, you can walk in here and stand here. And there's a little guy. Hello, little guy. Sorry about confining you to the inside of this very boring transport route forever. Alright. What was I talking about? Right, so we could do that. Now the problem with that is, so say in that situation, right, we have the source station which outputs, which fills this up with one stack of plates and one stack of loaders. Right, now say we use plates for all sorts of things at the destination station, and they're constantly being used. But the loaders aren't. Or the ramps aren't. The ramps are just getting put into a box, and maybe they're being used for something very slowly, right? So this won't leave. It won't leave until the output, it won't leave until the ship is entirely emptied. Which means if the conveyor loader slot has backed up a ton, then this just won't accept nearly enough xenoferrite plates. So in order to solve that, we would need I guess we could do like a two-way thing, right? So we have the plates and loaders coming from over there, right? And then plates and ramps go over there, they land here. Then this fills up these boxes. But if the boxes are full, instead of the overflow just backing up on these lines, we could send the overflow off to another shuttle bay, which fills up a new shuttle and sends it back over there, where there's a receiving shuttle bay there to take the input back. And the priorities would be set sort of like the recycling for the canisters that I use, so that this just wouldn't produce more ramps if it keeps getting sent ramps back. It'll just say, well, we're constantly going to be shipping ramps back and forth, but we're not going to be producing any more. We're not going to be adding more into the shuttle-based system. So that would solve the problem, but it would also require, it would require 2 shuttle bays for every single place, which would be a lot. And I assume you can't use the return trip at all. Yeah, so this has, like, no rules. Now, if I were to swap those to intakes, nah, I can't imagine that would work. I think it probably just wouldn't do anything. Okay, but let's try it anyway, just for science. So we put a little belt on. Congratulations, you have an intake. Now, give me a logistics container, which apparently is somewhere back here. Alright, so you exist, and you send stuff in there. So you are going to send, what do I want to send back? Steel beams, how about? So then this outputs steel beams into there. So So obviously it does nothing because there's nothing here at the moment. Now if we take all of this stuff here, and we send it over. Which, can I just do that manually? I don't want to wait for this whole thing to fill. Manage inventory. Yeah, okay, so then you get a stack of those, and a stack of those, and off it goes. Alright, so then it'll go over. And does it pick up the steel beams? Is that a thing that happens? So there are a couple things that might happen. It might pick up the steel beams and instantly deposit them. Although no, it can't do that. Right, are you picking up steel beams? No, you're simply ignoring them. Okay. Pretty much as I expected. This, let's see, this requires power, right? But it probably doesn't require fuel that I saw. Alright. These are definitely messing with my grid. Just because I assume these use a lot of power to work. Alright. That's probably fine. Yep, and off it goes, back over there. Alright, I need to think about how we're going to use these. So the easy solution, and I'm sure what is intended, is... I need to stop falling into the water, it's like the worst thing possible. So the easy solution is just like, fill these up. Like, we go off to, I don't know, this super distant xenoferrite ore deposit, right? Or even like this, even further one. And we fill this shuttle up with xenoferrite ore, and we ship it back to a main base, like what we have now, where we process everything. And that way, it would be very simple. Like, the shuttle would just move back and forth whenever we ran out of xenoferrite ore at the distant location. And it would be quite simple. And if we also did the fluid research thing, then we could even transport like water and everything like that, so we would have no real concerns on any of that stuff. Now, the reason to not do that would be because that brings absolutely everything into a compact location, which is very confusing and annoying. Now, if we were to come up with a more clever system that let us transport resources to satellite factories, basically, we could say have a factory over there that just takes in certain resources that it needs, transforms them into, I don't know, some useful item. Let's say we have, what might we want to make? We might want to make spaceship fuel, right? So we could have a factory that's just off in the distance somewhere, which is receiving all of these items. Barrels from light sheets, ignium powder, and then, barreled fuel or something? Portable fuel, maybe? Is that how that works? And barreled water somehow. And then transforms all of those into spaceship fuel and then sticks them on another transport shuttle. And if we did that, so the obvious downside would be that everything would be super dispersed and annoying. The obvious upside would be that we would have basically infinite space for any given thing. Like, we would never have to worry about what we're worrying about now with, like, oh, I want to build some production, but there's not enough space, so I just can't. And I think, like, the problem with that is it's just so many things. Like, there's so many components, right? And I might need to transfer any of these at any point. And these shuttle bays are really, really big. And maybe where are those transport bots that I unlocked? Are these for anything? No, probably not. I think those are just for sale. But there's gotta be a way. So the upside of using these, as opposed to just mining stuff on site, is that it has that layer of abstraction, right? Where we know the xenoferrite ore is coming in through the shuttle bay. We don't... Or... What's this thing even called? It's called a cargo shuttle's pad. So we would know that the xenoferrite ore is coming out through here, and it's going to be, you know, however many full belts of it. And then we can just not worry about where exactly it's coming from, and when the resource patch runs out, we can refill it. But we would still need to worry about the resource patches, because, like, they would still run out from time to time. We have to go out and get a new one. Whereas the space station transport ships, by contrast, we could just rely on to always give us a supply of whatever we need. And realistically, if we get enough of the what they call trade licenses or whatever, we could just, like, buy the immediate prerequisites, or however close in we wanted to deal with. So let's get back here, because I think there is, like, a limit on the number of space station ships that you can run. Alright, R&D lab, this is unlocked again. I guess let's do weight. It can only be improved 4 times, so we might as well improve it those 4 times, just so that we can say we did. So yeah, hangar space is limited. We only have 7 total cargo ships, and some of them need to be used for other things. Now, how does this work? We could buy a new cargo ship type. That would be handy. So, alternatively, so that's the docking facility. The hangar, we could add 3 there, and 3 there, and then 4 there, and then another 3. And then at some point we can just build infinite of them with construction material and thermalite bars. Alright, so hangar space isn't actually that much of a problem, probably. Like, this is very expensive, obviously. And the power requirement... The power requirement might be the issue here. So that would require 15 megawatts. Do we have infinite power? The main reactor would require more upgrades, but can be built indefinitely using a hilarious amount of thermalite bars. Meanwhile, the solar panels we have now can be built indefinitely for a relatively modest amount. So, in principle, we could just, like, import everything that it's possible to import and just like call it a day and sell stuff back to make up for it? Alright, we should buy another thing just so that we have more. So let's get... Let's see, what here could we really use a lot of? That, like, preferably something that is reasonably difficult to make, like electronic components and machinery parts. We could just make those. Maybe just circuit boards? Oh, 70,000? Okay. These are expensive. Alright, so pretty much all of these are expensive. So what else is there? Spaceship workshop. Reduces total time needed. I don't really care. Cargo bay will allow us to store things. What are we even storing on the space station? Sure, let's do that. I don't know what that does, but we have it now. Storage. 972 construction materials, 14,000 firmlight bars, and some transport bots. Alright, well, I think the plan is going to be to go to a primarily space station based game, like, because we can get, as theoretically, if we have the money to buy the upgrades, we can get as many hangar spots as we need, which means we can buy as many different items from the space station as we need. So I think for now we are going to see how we have like 3 available hangar slots. So the question is, right, what is our next step like in terms of what we actually do? And I think the answer to that is we need to restructure the base so that it works properly. And the way we can do that, like, immediately is get more cargo ships, fill up our hangar, and import the raw materials. So yeah, what is the next step? So we import the raw materials, and then what? We need to rework so that we have access to everything wherever we need it. That's the biggest problem. Is we need to be able to say, oh, I need, thermalite sheets and alumite and concrete, and just be able to get all of those things like next to each other with no problem. And the transport shuttles are apparently not going to be doing that, at least not conveniently. Although with fluid transport shuttles, we can at least move the raw resources around. But, okay, so the fundamental problem is that the shuttles work the exact opposite way of the way you'd want them to work. So in Satisfactory, when I use drones, which work somewhat similarly in some ways, right? What I do is I have a single port which just fills itself up with drones. It just fills itself up with resources and just sits there doing nothing. And then as many other ports as needed can send drones to that port, pick it up, and bring the resources back. But that doesn't work here. It doesn't work because the drones work only, like, drones are only associated with the supplier stations and not the receiver stations, whereas I want the drones to be associated only with the receiver stations and not the supplier stations. Which means that, like, basically, the cargo shuttles are designed exclusively for use of bringing things from distant satellite bases into the main place, into a singular main production facility where everything gets used. Now, that's not really what I want to be doing. Okay, I could go vertical. So if I had my single production facility, then I could have, like, cargo elevators bringing everything up to all the different floors, and then automate things, like, from raw resources from scratch on each floor. So, like, floor 1 could be the xenoferrite floor, where all of the xenoferrite only stuff gets made. And floor 2 could be the xenoferrite and techno floor, where all of the stuff that uses both of those get made. The problem is, it's just so unreasonably complicated. Like, so many of these things that you're producing require things that they assume you've already produced and have access to. Whereas doing it in that way wouldn't have access to them. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to use the cargo shuttles, and I don't fully understand, like, what the use case for them is. If they worked like Satisfactory drones, it would be very easy for me to figure out how to use them. But they work exactly the opposite way, and there's no way to fix that. So, I guess I could just have, like, giant... No, there's no way having a giant bank of cargo shuttles is at all warranted. Like, what I was thinking is, I have my production facility for advanced machinery parts, and I have, like, 10 cargo shuttle start locations. And then, whenever I need advanced machinery parts, I just assign them to one of the 10. But that would be just hilariously inefficient. Like, we're talking a huge amount of space, a huge amount of building materials for every single production line, and that can't be right. So if we ignore the cargo shuttles and just have a huge amount of transport ships, because transport ships would work the way I want because they store them in the space station, right? So I could say, you know, make sure there's always 1,000 advanced machinery parts stored in the space station. And then whenever I want advanced machinery parts, then I send another ship down from the space station to wherever I'm using them, and then they can grab the advanced machinery parts. So this can store like 2,000-ish of all the various things. So yeah, storage. I can store up to 400 of these. Up to 4,000 of these. Is that individual? Is that... Yeah, I think it is. I think the way this is labeled, it looks like I can store 4,000 xenoferrite ore and 4,000 technum ore. So, if I were to get, like, all of the market licenses... So let's grab mineral rocks, I guess. Although that requires 20,000 fermalite bars to buy. And I can't even get olimite barrels just because I don't have the tech for it. Is olimite barreling a tech that I could buy now if I wanted to? Let's see here. Olimite barreling. It's not any of those. Where's the basic olimite processing? It's up there. So the mining drone actually unlocks Drone Miner Mark II. So I might want to actually get that. New fuel rods, other various nonsense. There's so much junk that gets unlocked from every single thing. Yeah, I just actually don't know where the olimite barreling tech is, if I even wanted to unlock it. It seems like it should be, like, under olimite fuel or something. But it seems not to be. Maybe if I just go to show all research, I'll be able to find it. It's... Alright, there's modular storage tank. Maybe that's, like, adjacent. We could get the orbital laser. That would be fun. Not necessary, but fun. Alright. Literally, where is this? That's tier 5 stuff, obviously. Yeah, okay, there's a tech in here that I'm just not seeing. I just have no idea where olimite packaging even is to unlock it. That's a tech, right? Station upgrades, market office. Research requirements, olimite barreling. That is the tech that I'm missing, apparently. But I cannot find it. It's also costs 200,000 fermalite bars. Alright. In the short term, we need to get more hangar space, probably. So let's go spaceship hangar. Oh, we actually need more power first. Solar array number 3, go! So that'll be another 30 megawatts, which should be enough for a little bit, at least. And also, construction industry, that's a thing. Modular building planner. What is that? If that is a blueprint machine, I would be very, very happy about that, if that's a blueprint machine. I'm not going to get my hopes up, because it's probably not a blueprint machine. Boy, if it is, then we can cook. If that's a blueprint machine, then we can make some progress on designing stuff. All right, so I think the next thing we need to do is, like, we need to scale up our profits. Like, currently our fermalite bars is a huge limiting factor on the licenses we can unlock. So we need to find some fancy type of robot, not these old decrepit transport bots that we've been producing since the start of the game. Like transport drones, 5 times as expensive. Or something like that we can produce en masse and sell to make a lot of money, and then like use that money to as like the backbone of the rest of our factory. Speaking of production limitations and stuff, this is going well. Yeah, that's going well. And the science output is still backlogging, obviously, but it's getting quite far, so that's good. Alright, so the plan for next time. We need... so the plan for next time, I think what we're going to do is we're going to create like a dedicated robot production base away from this, where we start using our where we start buying resources off of the galactic market to sell robots back. And that way, that will run forever with no resource cost and just like accumulate money for us. And we don't have to worry about wasting resources because we're just buying them. So that's what we're going to do next time, is we're going to go off, we're going to put down a couple of shipping transport things, and we are going to start making robots. And then what we need to figure out is like, what is the best robot that we can make? Because we can't get Olimite at the moment because it's hilariously expensive to import. So like, the Snackbot is 30. Combat drone, does that require Olimite, hover engine, or weapons components? Weapons components require explosives. And hover engine doesn't require anything else. So explosives, then how do we make explosives? Explosives do require Olimite. Alright, so let's see. Combat drone then is out. Lightbot. We could do Lightbot. Wouldn't be too bad. Heavy duty transport bot. Also, the Thermalite sheets make this a bit expensive, but probably fine. That's very cheap. Alright, maintenance drone requires an energy cell, but it's very, very expensive. So I think what we're going to do then is we're probably going to make light bots and just sell a huge number of those. Wait, transport ship ports. We unlocked a whole new category of things, didn't we? Construction warehouse, construction ship port, transport ship port. Alright. Well, I have no idea what any of that stuff does, but maybe it'll be the thing we need. So, a warehouse and ship ports. Yeah, okay. I don't really know what... I don't entirely know, but I think we're going to go space station shenanigans. Let's make a modular building planner and see what that does. It is in handheld, which is very encouraging. So if we assign this to spot 7, what does it do? Does it do anything? Alright, I don't know what that does. Construction industry. Let's just look at these first. Modular buildings. Figured and confirmed for construction. Access a construction site that needs to be built. Resources delivered. Rubble to be carried away. Built through a construction ship and its drones. Construction ship port houses a construction ship. Fly to a construction site with materials and build them. Okay. Transport ships. Transport goods from places that provide them to places that request them. It's fully automated. Transport ships. Alright, this might be what we need then. So if we just have, like, warehouses that transport things around. From the, automatically pick construction material from the warehouse once the ship demands it. And, okay, bubbles produced. Alright, it would be really convenient if we could use these for that. I don't know if we can, though. But hopefully we can. It would be very convenient if that was like the actual drone equivalent in Satisfactory, although and I wouldn't know what the cargo shuttles are for then. If not, alright, so next time we're going to do some investigating of those and see if that's what we want. Otherwise, we're going to just set up a drone production thing. So let's research some more drones. Maybe one of them will be useful. Alright, but it's 4:56. We don't at all have the time to start doing that today, so we're gonna end the stream now. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. Mostly just planning and thinking today, not so much actual forward progress, although there was some near the beginning of the day. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to be back to Satisfactory, where we are setting up with nuclear waste disposal and plutonium power production. So make sure to stop by if you're interested in that. Otherwise, on Thursday, I will be back playing Foundry, where I'm going to actually start doing new stuff with like my new space station based design stuff, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. I stream every day from 2 to 5. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 specifically, not on weekends. So yeah, make sure to check me out then if you're interested. Thanks for hanging out. Follow if you haven't already, and I will